Mics are on.
Mics are on.
Here's Fluffed. All right.
Fluff.
Are we smiling at the camera? All right. Today we're going to talk about everything having to do with the PSSAs. So if you live in Pennsylvania and you have a kid in the 3rd to 8th grade, we're going to tell you everything that you should know about the PSSA so that you and your family can get the most out of this mandated test. It is coming up the end of April to the middle of May is the PSSA testing window. So be in the lookout for info from your kids' school about when PSSA testing is. Okay, let's jump right into this. So why do many parents, when they get their test scores back, have a wave of emotions? It could be anything from confusion to frustration to what is this even for? So why might a parent feel confused or just like a fish out of water when they get their kids' PSA test scores back from the school?
Well, I think the first and the biggest reason is because PSSAs as a test were really never designed for parents. They weren't meant to be a diagnostic tool that tells parents how their kids are doing in school.
Okay, so that's good to know. So parents, it wasn't even originally designed for you.
No, we started taking the PSSAs in Pennsylvania in like 1992, and really they were meant more as an accountability tool at the systems level, districts, schools, classrooms. Like what is your curriculum working?
Mhm.
You might have changed curriculums. You notice a dip across grade levels in PSSA performance. Maybe this wasn't a great choice. You could have any number of changes at the school or district level. And if you notice this high level trend in a large swath of your students, you would use that to make changes. And that's really what they were designed for.
Okay, so this is more like a system-wide tool. This is kind of like above our pay grades.
Yeah.
It's a system-wide tool. So, okay, so that's getting into a little bit of what the PSSA is. So, for us to fully understand like what it is it actually designed to do? Tell us some more details, like what grade does it start in? Why is this such a big moment for families?
So it starts in 3rd grade. You take the PSSAs in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. In 5th and 8th grade, you take a science PSSA, and in all of those grades, you take an English language arts and a math PSSA. And this is a big deal because it's one of the first times, especially in 3rd grade, that your student is being measured across all the kids in the state of Pennsylvania, and that your school is being assessed across all the schools, all the districts, in what do your students know?
It's very competitive.
And can they apply it? And what does that look like? So it's one of the first times they're really being asked to do that. And particularly, it's where they have to start writing down their thinking. Before this, they've taken mostly the STAR test,
which has no writing, correct?
There's no written component to the STAR test. It's just a computer adapt. There's the computer adaptive section, and then there's the sections they administer, like oral fluency, number fluency, things like that.
So the PSSA really should be it is a big moment. It is a big milestone in a kid's educational journey in Pennsylvania.
It is. And I'm sure if you are listening from somewhere else, you probably have a similar test that your kid takes where, it could be called anything, but it's essentially assessing their reading across like vocabulary, comprehension. Can they write? Usually there's some kind of text dependent analysis. Can I read something? Can I write about it? And then for math, you've got 4 main areas. You've got you've got numbers, algebraic reasoning, geometry, and data analysis. So how are you at doing
all of those things?
Right.
Yep. So would you say it's more of a, well, let's see, I want to get into that question later. So now let's look at this from the kid's point of view. Yeah. What's this feel like for a kid?
So,
Are kids excited to take the PSSAs?
you
They
know,
should be.
you can get them hype. You got to do nice things for them. So if you're a teacher and you're listening to this and you want your students to perform the best they can on the PSSA, really like try to make it an exciting time to come to school. Like when we get here in the morning, I'm going to have something cool for you.
Yeah.
I realize this is excessive.
No, but it's absolutely necessary. Like,
but it helps.
I mean, it's like when here in Delaware, we're an NWEA state. And for like a very long time, I was an NWEA teacher. So like I got I think I was actually pretty good at it, but like I don't know, maybe it's an older kid thing, but like you definitely cannot get a student's buy-in for a test unless you inform them, you tell them what it's for, you tell them what their scores mean, you tell them what their last score was, you tell them what their goal is, you give them you do your best at giving them internal incentive, external incentive for actually doing better on this test. Like if you don't go out of your way to create this incentive, then this like motivation to do well on the test, most kids are not just going to come motivated to do the test. Right. And like I really feel like families can do a lot there too. You know, like breakfast, snacks, good night's sleep, get them excited, like remember your scores from last year. So yeah, there's a lot that the adults in a kid's life should be doing,
yes,
to create the best environment for these kids to take a test, because the tests without that are long.
They are. They're really
so
long.
Exactly like how long are they?
You know, you're sitting for, I think it's 2 sections of math, 3 sections of math, and like 3 or 4 sections of ELA.
Mm-hmm.
They are anywhere from 60 minutes to like an hour and a half. And your kid is taking a total of 6 to 7 hours of tests over the course of maybe 3 days in 1 week and 2 days the next week. So like usually it's just in the morning. So I would say one of the big things you can help motivate kids to do is be on time for school. That's really important.
Oh yeah, otherwise you're taking makeups.
I used to make fruit parfaits. You only got one if you were on time.
Yeah.
You got a little fruit parfait in the morning before your PSSA.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
that was really my 5th graders. It's not as, here's how this test really impacts like your scores from last year and like building towards your future. It wasn't as much of like you need good scores for this thing. It was more just like we're going to do our best. We're going to try and like do better than we did last year. And the big thing for my kids was like write something, anything in the sections that require writing.
Yeah, I can definitely see where like the strategies to hype up a 5th grader and a 9th grader are different.
Very different.
Very different.
Very different.
Yeah, yeah.
You put a little like candy on their desk with a note that tells them how proud of them you are. They're like feeling pretty good about themselves. They're 10.
Yeah.
You've done it.
Snacks go a long, long way.
Snacks. And if you're a parent and you're really sensitive to this time of year, you could always send in, organize the other parents in your class if you like have, sway like that. And like each day send in some snacks.
I would tell kids during NWA testing, I was like, bring a snack. Like I will not tell you that you can't.
Yeah.
Like there were kind of like regulations about like what the room needed to look like in the testing environment. And, I bent some of those rules. I ignored some of those rules, but so it can be a stressful test. It can be a fatiguing test.
It can be.
Endurance is definitely a thing.
It is.
Like, can you pay attention after 45 minutes of answering multiple choice questions?
Right.
And you're in 3rd grade.
Right. And there's definitely things that make it easier.
Yeah.
A good example, so the PSSA is not just multiple choice questions tied to nothing. A lot of it is reading, sustained reading of passages that are informational. And if you want to support your student in being able to do well on those,
to make sure that they can read in a sustained way.
Right.
What we mean by sustained reading is like, I can sit down and read for 5 minutes. Like, I can do that.
Right.
I don't get bored after 30 seconds or like disengage.
And to help sustain that reading, build their content knowledge around a number of things. Like, make sure they just know things about science and social studies.
Yeah.
Because informational knowledge in those two subjects will help your student be able to sustain reading, because they're not reading about something that's completely outside of what they know stuff about.
Yeah. It would be like if we sat down and took an SAT test, but all the reading passages were about modern art. We'd be like, oh God, I don't know anything about modern art.
Or economics.
Or like
throwback to one of our last episodes.
Yes, or economics, we would do poorly. So yeah, like having that wide background knowledge and just like knowing stuff about things.
Yeah.
Make surprisingly sure they know important. Stuff about things. Know stuff about things.
Or they have a framework understanding. Like,
that's the teachery way to put it, a framework.
I'm breaking down a passage that's about a historical event. Maybe I don't know anything about this historical event, but I do know when I learn about historical events, I want to know who is the person or group of people that this event is about, what is influencing this event to happen, what's impacting it, and like what are some of the outcomes of that event, what's changed today. So like if I'm reading about historical events and I have sort of that idea of like, I'm looking for who or what it's about, why it's happening, and why that matters, then I'm going to be more successful reading than if I'm just like...
It's not your first rodeo reading some historical content.
Yes.
Okay, so what it feels like for kids. Obviously it's very long. It's not it's a hard test. You got to have that test endurance. How can we help hype kids up, do our best to motivate them, give them snacks, and of course ensure that they have reading stamina. Without the reading stamina, at least there'll be snacks, you know?
It's the least you can do.
It's the least you can do, snacks. All right, so let's talk about what parents actually get back. So after like 8 to 10 hours of testing over many school days, what do parents actually receive back when the results come in?
So you're a parent, your kid's in 3rd grade, you want to know, when am I going to find out how they did and what am I going to get? So the next year, when your student is in 4th grade, you'll get those results from their 4th grade teacher.
Are you serious? You take the test in like April, May, and parent results don't go back until like September, October?
Right. You usually get them either at back to school night or your first report card conferences.
Oh my God. That's like out of sight, out of mind.
Yep. Now they have just migrated the PSSA. I know in Philadelphia this year, they're going to take it online. So before, you had to take it in like a book with like a scoring sheet, and then mail those somewhere, and they have to scan them. So they don't have to do any of that anymore. So maybe
it's faster.
It'll be faster.
Maybe I would hope there's like a portal now.
And maybe you can check it over the summer as a parent.
Okay, so what kind of what do the results tell you? Like when you get that piece of paper, or if you log into that portal, what do you see?
So you're going to see, one, your overall scores. We're just going to stick to ELA and math for right now. You're going to see your overall score. Did you score below basic, proficient, or advanced? And the real push is that you want all of your students scoring proficient or advanced. You know, that's the dream.
Anything below that is a red flag.
Yes.
And you have to do something.
Right. Like if your child is scoring basic in ELA, that means they are not on grade level. And even if they're scoring proficient in ELA, that means they're on track, but can they apply what they know? So like they seem on grade level right now, but when that difficulty, like in math, like we talked about in our middle school math readiness, as that starts to ramp up, will they stay on grade level?
Yeah, it just snowballs. Okay, so you get 2 labels, one for reading, one for math, below basic, proficient, and advanced. Um, is that information any more detailed,
So you
or
can
is that
get
it?
an individual student report,
Okay.
and that'll give you an idea of how your student did across the dimensions of those tests. So in ELA, we're talking about things like vocabulary, comprehension, the text dependent analysis.
Some of the like substandards, some of the like
Yeah,
columns of skills.
right. And the same thing in math. You'll get a breakdown. So you might see that your child got proficient in comprehension, but got basic on their text dependent analysis. So they can understand the text, but it's not translating to their ability to explain what that text says or to analyze it in any meaningful way.
Right, right. So, in your thought, what, because like your kid's going to take the PSSAs in a couple years.
Right.
What do you think those reports are? And you've seen plenty of those reports for like your kids in the past. What do you think those reports are missing for parents that you wish was on those reports?
I really wish that they were more detailed in terms of like, what does this mean your student knows and what should they be able to do? Like there should be a look for it. Like your child scored proficient across the substandard of vocabulary. What this means, they have acquired these vocabulary related skills.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, what should you see? You should see that they're able to do X, Y, and Z, and then there should be a what comes next.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see those further broken down into those three sort of lines of thought, because I think that would be a lot more actionable for parents.
So, like, if a parent asks, "What should I do differently tomorrow with my kid?" is the test going to answer that?
No.
So, why is the system? Why is a test like this again?
So the test is like this because when they were originally designed, so the PSSA, as I mentioned, was piloted in 1992. And before that, at least at my school that I grew up going to in southwestern PA, we took the California Achievement Tests. And then there was this sort of shift to the PSSA in the 90s, but it was always meant to be an accountability tool at the system level. So looking at like all of the students in a district, looking at groups of students in the district, and thinking about why those large scale disparities or changes or trends might exist.
Yeah. There's a lot of data in, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I feel like there's a lot of data and statistics about education in America today that would not exist if we didn't have, for better or worse, tests like the PSSA.
Right.
Like you can't know, like you can't have data unless you go out and get it. And unfortunately, with education, there's only one way to get the data. So like there's only one way for a state to know if their educational system is working.
Right.
And you got to test. And who do you got to test? You got to test the kids.
And I think, you know, from the 90s to like 2001, that was fine. That's how it was working. It was just we give this test to kids. We look at this level, what changes we need to make, or where we may need to allocate resources as a result of these scores, and that was it.
Yeah.
So then in 2001, we had the shift because of No Child Left Behind to where now we had these unfunded mandates where essentially your school was required to show a certain amount of growth on this test, that like your students are improving every year because of the work you are doing. And then it became sort of like scorecards for schools, and now schools get ranked by it. And so we shifted in 2001, we shifted the way that we used these tests from systems level accountability. Now it's looking at children.
Yeah.
And is this child making growth? Are all the children making growth? And now we're looking at it on a far more individual level, which it was never designed to really do.
So that's good. It illuminates system-wide proficiencies and deficiencies so that they can be fixed.
Yes.
And it sounds like it's moving in the right direction, or in a direction of being more individualized and more honestly practical for like a teacher and a parent to use. So, okay, you mentioned like some kind of strength profile. What was that report called again?
So there's the individual student report,
The individual student report,
which provides a strength profile of your student based off of the substandards for both the subcategories for ELA and math.
okay. Is a student strength report in parent friendly terms? Like when a parent gets it, are they like, oh, I understand everything now? So
I
what,
wouldn't say that.
so like there's more information on the page. Is it just more information on a page? Like how does that benefit a parent?
Well, like you might know, for example, let's talk about math. You've got 4 subcategories: numbers, algebraic reasoning, geometry, and data analysis. So say your student is proficient in 3 of those and basic in 1, or advanced in 2 of them and proficient in 2. You have an idea of where they're performing well and where they aren't. But if you are not a math teacher, if you don't really clearly remember your own math education, um, when they say geometry, you're like, yeah, shapes.
Squares.
But like, what does your child in their grade have to do within that subcategory to be proficient? You have no idea.
Yeah, just taking that geometry example, there's probably like 11 substandards in geometry, and that's in every grade. Like when geometry shows up,
There's a lot of substandards.
there's a lot of substandards. So it just says geometry. So parents get more information, which is great, but that's it. So in a way, it's no better than before, because like if you get this report and you have more information and you don't do anything with it, like you might as well have not gotten the report at all.
You do get year over year, so you can tell, is my child improving
This is
on
true.
this test.
It does log change, like growth
Change
over time. Yeah,
which is good.
Which is very good, because if a student is not growing over time, then somebody should be freaking out.
Right. Like you, even if your student isn't doing as well as they would like on the test, as long as they're growing, like you're like, all right, well, you're getting better. You're putting in the effort. You're growing each year. We might need to do a little more work to grow at a faster rate, but at least you're on the trend you want to be
on. Yeah. So, okay, we got more information on the parent report, but like, honestly, that's still not incredibly useful, because if you have more information and don't do anything about it, what was that extra information even for? So like, if you like in your 5th grade class, and if you could have the parents of your kids, take the best advice, what would you tell the parents of your students? Like, hey, when you get your PSSA test results back, this is what you should do. Like, don't just look it up and be like, oh, stick them on the fridge. Like, what should a parent do? Like a parent who wants to do something,
right?
Something little, something big, what should they do? What's their next step?
So some advice: when you get these results, your child will now be with a new teacher. If they're in middle school, they might be with several new teachers. You might be in a new building. So you want to get the insight into how they're doing so far this year. Now, part of the problem will be that this new teacher maybe hasn't taught all of the skills that are on that strength profile yet. So they might not have, if you're starting the year in 5th grade with number fluency, I don't have insight into how your student did last year in geometry because I haven't taught that. So I don't really know what they're coming in with yet. I can tell you what they're doing in number fluency, and I can tell you how that might play out in geometry in 5th grade. If you're in the same building, the best advice I would give you is go talk to that teacher from last year. See if they've got a couple minutes to spare for you, and hey, look, I got these results back. Is there any insight you can give me into what you remember from last year that I can use to help my child this year. I think just that simple conversation would go a long way.
Just going in and being like, these are the scores. How can I help my kid
Yep.
in any area where they just needed maybe a little boost?
There are two
or
other,
just like a learning gap, because
Right.
like learning gaps happen.
They do.
And you don't find out about them until
skill gaps.
and still stuff starts going over your kid's head.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, learning gap.
Like a tiny skill gap, right? From, say they're going from 4th grade to 5th grade, and they really struggled with the introduction of fractions in 4th grade, and that impacted a portion of their PSSA score in 4th grade. Their 4th grade teacher is going to know that best. There are two other people generally in a building that may also have insight that work with students across all of the grades in that building. And that's if you have a school-wide math lead or math specialist, and a school-wide reading lead or literacy specialist. So I know with my son, early in the year, we met with the principal. We were having a misalignment between his original assigned teacher and the one he is with now. And we were talking about how bright he is, and one of the things on the table was, well, would it make sense to skip him a grade? And maybe he would get more out of like an amazing 3rd grade teacher if there's not a 2nd grade teacher that's a good fit for him. He's one of the oldest kids in his grade. His birthday is September 2nd. He missed the kindergarten cutoff by a day. He definitely reads at this level. He does math. He could, I think he'd get there in math. Maybe that's an option. And the literacy lead actually gave me like a ton of supplementary things to do with him to get him ready for 3rd grade, because 3rd grade is really important for the PSSAs in Philadelphia for one very specific reason that I will talk about shortly-ish.
Shortly-ish.
Yeah.
How about now?
Should I do it now?
We should do it now.
Okay. So in the city of Philadelphia, there are a handful of special admittance schools, which means there's very strict requirements that you need to meet to be considered for admission, to be able to go into the lottery of who might get a seat. So let's say, for example, there are 300 5th grade seats. There aren't that many. Let's say, for example, there are 150 5th grade seats available at a school that starts in 5th grade that's special admission. For you to qualify for one of those 150 seats, you're not guaranteed to get one. You're just guaranteed to get into the lottery. And if you're one of the first 150 pulled, you get one.
Wow.
So to even have that, you need to have 95% of days attended. So that means you can't miss more than 9 days of school in a year. You have to have A's and B's on your report card. And you have to score advanced, not proficient or advanced on both the ELA and math PSSA.
In the 3rd grade.
And because that school starts in the 5th grade, you have to apply for it at the beginning of 4th grade, which means they can only go off your 3rd grade PSSA data because you don't take it before
so that. So the first time that kid takes the PSSA is like very high stakes.
It's extreme. Like, if you want to go to this school, this needs to be, these are the things you need to check off to be considered for admittance to that school. And so if you have 85% attendance, you don't have great grades on your report card, you're not scoring advanced in both of those areas, you're not, like, you don't even get to throw your hat into the pool to possibly get selected for this school.
Those are very high stakes.
So some, depending on where you live, your PSSA scores,
they could matter a lot.
A lot.
Like in any big city, probably, like one school might be more competitive than the other, but like any city that has any kind of magnet school, magnet schools in their like pool of schools, I'm sure it starts to matter a lot. All right. So we've talked a lot about what the test is, what it is not, how to get the best out of your scores, what you got to do if you actually want to get useful information out of your scores. So if a parent is sending their kids off to the PSSA, maybe for the first time, maybe for the second time, whatever, what would you want them to take away from all of this information about the PSSA?
I think the most important thing is that your child is doing their best. Like they're giving it a good, honest effort. That's all you can do. You only have the skills and information you have on that day at that time. This test is just a snapshot. That school, it's great if your kid gets into it, but it's not.
Nobody should cry over it.
There are plenty of other good schools that you don't need to have those test scores to get into. You'll be fine. And in a lot of places, honestly, this test is still really used in that high level systems accountability way. At the individual level, other than showing you that your kid's making growth each year, and like that they are at or near grade level or above, it doesn't really have a big impact on like their future access to opportunities.
I think what you said first, that like just make sure that your kid is doing their best, like that is really the best thing. That is going to make sure that doors open for them for future opportunities.
Right.
Because if a kid in the third grade is mature enough and motivated enough to go in to take a test and be like, I am going to do my best.
Yeah.
And to persevere and to try hard all the way through the test, like what more can you ask for?
Nothing.
I mean, really, in the realm of like just being a good, responsible human who's going to be successful in life, like what more can you actually ask for other than just go do your best? Like it's your job to do your best. So just go do your best. And like don't give up, don't quit, don't put your head down, don't go to sleep.
Right?
Just go do your best.
And this, I can't stress this enough. I really can't. For your teachers who worked hard all year, for your parents who support and care about you, try to impress upon your student to please, if they do, when they do their best, that includes writing something, anything on the written portions.
Write something. I have been there with SAT proctoring. It's like, just write anything.
Like, I can tell you on a text-dependent analysis prompt, at least in the 5th grade, if a student is writing one solid paragraph, it's maybe 5 sentences long. A 5th grader can do that. If they are doing well on the multiple choice portion and they do at least that on the written portion, they'll get a 2 on the text dependent analysis and they can still score proficient. And they're going to demonstrate growth, especially if the year before they wrote nothing, which was frequently the case for my students when I taught 5th grade. Is I would get kids that
4th grade, they wrote nothing.
They would write nothing, like they would just leave it blank. And if you write anything, you'll get a 1. Like the only way you get a 0 is if you draw scribbles or write nothing.
Yeah. I mean, that also goes back to like just doing your best. Like, oh, what am I supposed to do in this part of the test? I'm supposed to be reading about this and I'm supposed to be writing about this. So I am going to do that and I am going to do my best at it. So again, just like being the kind of person who is like, what is my job here? What is my task? I am going to do the best that I can at it. Yes. That goes so far in being a student and being a human being.
Right. And I feel like the best way to support that is just giving them lots of practice. Teachers, I'm sure you're doing this. I believe in you. You're doing TDA practice, but like build it in all year to your content. That was where I saw the biggest success in 5th grade was when I embedded TDA responses. We did a weekly TDA. We worked on it Monday through Friday. On Friday, it was finalized and turned in.
So you could like start it, edit it, refine it.
I would give them feedback, and we did that every week from the start of the year. And each week we rotated. 1 week it was science, 1 week it was social studies, 1 week it was science, 1 week it was social studies. And we had our greatest amount of growth on the ELA test that year.
Yeah.
Across all of our across our students with IEPs, across our students who are English language learners. And I believe it was because they had done so much writing, their content knowledge was high, that when they got there, they wrote.
It's just like volume of writing. I feel like just volume of writing, good writing, bad writing, just volume does so much to improve a person's, anybody, any age, their writing skills. So like, as this just like comes to mind, like a parent, if they want to try to do that at home, just like encourage your kid to keep a journal.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's good, bad writing, refined writing. I mean, the refined, edited stuff, is what we're going to push for at school in most situations. But like, just volume, just write.
Yeah.
Just be a person who can take ideas from here and put them down here.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. So I think we got some good takeaways. I think the number one takeaway is snacks, though. If your school allows it, snacks can make any rough situation a little bit better. At least you have some snacks to keep you going. I think it like helps your brain too.
Yeah.
Because tests are long.
Snacks.
Yeah.
That's the big takeaway.
Snacks and motivation.
Snacks and motivation.
Final thoughts?
So final thoughts, I would say if you're a parent and you're watching this, the big things to take away. One, really look at the district you live in. Like, are there a lot of school options? Do any of them require certain scores? Be aware of that if that's where you and your child are looking to. Don't get surprised by it. Do your research, be aware of what your options are and how they might be tied to your performance on standardized
If you're
tests.
in Philadelphia, it's a big deal.
If you're in Philadelphia especially, look into the special admittance criteria, the magnet school criteria, the citywide school criteria. Make sure you know what the criteria are for the school that your child might want to go to or where you want them to go. So inform yourself. I would say the next big thing is, when you get those results, talk to that teacher from the year before. If you can get a hold of them, if you can't, if you're still in the same school, get some insight into what you can do with this and what that might have meant for your child.
Do something.
Yeah. If you're a teacher, I would just say, like, thank you. I would always tell my students, they'd be like, Miss, this test is so boring. And they would complain about having to take it. And like, for those of you that don't know, you can't have any technology in the room. That includes me. So you are at least taking a test. Like, you get to read stuff, you get to think about it, you get to answer it. My job is to walk around and stare at you while you take that test, which I would argue is far more boring. So
it is not exciting to proctor.
It is mind-numbing. So teachers, thank you. I see you, we see you, and we know that you've put in that work all year. And the worst is, as a teacher, when you've put in that work and you did all those practice TDAs and then you watch that kid not write anything, close that book and hand it to you. And you can't like open it back up and give it back to them.
You can't.
You have to take it. And you watch like a little piece of your soul die. So families, parents, people who aren't teachers, that's what's happening.
Please write something.
Be gentle. I would say those are the biggest takeaways I've got.
All right. Sounds good. Everybody, good luck with your PSSAs.
And if you like this content and you want to hear more, like, share, comment, subscribe, and please let us know like what else you'd like to hear us talk about.
Yes. We have our ideas, but believe me, we will take your ideas and immediately implement them.
You might be the first one. Then you'll have to listen for your idea to be brought to life by us.
Probably in a couple weeks.
I would say by June.
Definitely by June.
Awesome.
All right.
I feel good about this one.
Yay.
I
I've
think that was
learned that I have to